Sports stories from the 419 in Northwest Ohio, brought to you by a voice you know. It's time to go around the area and around the Hearn.
Welcome into a courtside edition of Around the Hearn. A lot of things to get to. State semifinals, already a couple in the bag, and both coaches that you'll hear from, and Mark Gregory and Carla Siegel, already know their fate. A win for the Fort Loramie Redskins, 50-41 over Crestview, and just not a great shooting performance for the Knights. They shot less than 30% in the game, 9 of 10 from the free throw line, and Fort Loramie was just lethal with their defense. And you'll hear from both coaches about exactly what they said going into the ball game. I'll be honest with you, full disclosure, the last couple of days have been kind of busy. Big night last night in Bowling Green with the OG Titans coming out with a massive performance, 23-6 in the first quarter, 17 points from Colin White on the way to 36 on the night. He's now just 29 points away from becoming the first kid in Putnam County history to score 2,000 points, and one of, I think, maybe 4 or 5 in our area to do it. So a big thing on display for potentially the Titans in their run to state. But you'll also hear from Troy Yant earlier on in the week. Got to talk to him about his OG Lady Titans and what they expect coming in to tonight, taking on a Portsmouth team at 22-5 and potentially unbeaten Keystone or Columbus Afrocentric. They are getting ready here in about 10 minutes as I tape this to get going. But when we come back from this break, we've got Troy Yant. He will talk all about what his Lady Titans are going to do, and he was nice enough to share some appreciation. Then Mark Gregory and Carla Siegel as well. Enjoy it. It's a special edition here. Basketball Thursday of Around the Hearn. At Lee Kitzel Sales and Service, 650 West Irvin Road in Van Wert, we guarantee our best price for every new Chevrolet and GMC every day, always. At Lee Kitzel's, we also guarantee you'll come back happy with our service after the sale and earn top dollar for your trade-in, no matter what condition it's in. Not sure what's right for your next vehicle? Stop on out at 650 West Irvin Road and let our trained and helpful sales professionals put you in the right vehicle today, or browse online at leekitzel.com. Chevrolet, together, let's drive. Back now talking to Troy Yant as we get ready for the state semifinals, and talking to your young ladies, Troy, and it would appear that they are pretty hype here. We sit a couple of days away from this game, but they are getting focused and they're ready to go.
Well, we've been working for this since the beginning of the season, so you don't usually talk about the end game when you're playing, but this was a special team, and we talked about it very early on that this was a possibility, and if the dominoes fell the way we thought they could, that we could get here. So I think part of it is anticipation. Part of it is a little expectation that maybe we've done what we needed to do to get here, and now we want to finish the ride.
You've had, obviously, a lot of things that changed at the beginning of the season. I mean, the girls have success in soccer yet again. Kind of slows down maybe your practice schedule. You lose your starting point guard. You have some banged up. I mean, Carson's banged up early on. I know there had to have been a frustration, but as that's kind of building, are you able to stand there and go, all right, I know that we've prepped the rest of these girls so well that we're going to be able to do some damage?
Well, we're somewhat accustomed to it. Unfortunately, we've had the knee injuries the last couple of years, so it's not like it's out of the blue and it's the end of the world. We knew Kaylin was going to be out before the season started, or before we started the season. So, we had made those adjustments. Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately, Carson got hurt in that scrimmage. And to be honest, I thought she was going to be gone for the season. So it was a welcome relief to get news that she was going to be back. And, she sat for 4 games, and then we kind of nursed her for 2 or 3 games. But she's been strong and healthy for us. So, from that perspective, somewhat blessed. We'd love to have Caitlin playing, obviously, but somewhat blessed that we've been able to keep the team healthy through the stretch and play some pretty decent basketball.
This is a much different kind of makeup of the way that it was the last time you guys went down there and played in the gym that you said is as bright as the sun. Is there any kind of thing maybe you can tell the girls that weren't able to, or weren't old enough, I guess, to play on that team of, hey, here's an extra thing you might not think about that you have to anticipate?
Well, I think having Micah and Katie on the team will help. They've been there. They were there that night. They were down there for 2 games. They saw the big moment. We were pretty young, going against a very senior-laden team in Berlin Highland that year. And, this year we're not terribly old or senior with only 2 seniors on the team, but we do have some experience.
It's an oddity in that you guys play the late game on Thursday night. You play at 8 o'clock. You are going to go down or are here early in the morning. The boys obviously playing the night before. Did any of that, kind of the way the schedule broke down, throw a monkey wrench in how you would have maybe approached this otherwise?
Well, usually we want to go down the night before, the day before, go down in the evening, get a supper and get the kids in, get them sleeping. It just seemed like too much downtime, especially with the boys playing Wednesday night. I think the girls really want to go to see the game, so we'll go down Thursday morning. To some extent, it's a monkey wrench, but it still gives us plenty of time to get down there, get our shoot around, and get into the mode of basketball.
I think it's probably the age-old, there are 500-plus teams or whatever that would love to have that problem.
Yeah, I mean, logistics are part of the process. There's a lot of administrative stuff and stats and things that go on behind the scenes that do take up a lot of time, and it's kind of a bit of a headache when all you really want to do is prepare for practice. But by the same token, there's a whole bunch of teams that aren't preparing at all, so we'll take it.
And it's funny because that's always my thought process when you kind of get to these points of it's so much that's not about basketball, just to kind of be able to get back to basketball. And I would think by the time they throw the ball in the air on Thursday night, you get at least 1 second of relief of, okay, finally, something we might be able to control.
Well, yeah. Obviously, you want your kids to be ready to play, and there are a lot of distractions leading up to this. The longer bus rides, the stuff that's happening at school, the things that are happening prepping for practice, trying to prepare for 3 teams for the weekend as opposed to just a 1-game night. So there's a lot of extra that goes in. So you're just sighing a sigh of relief when you finally get to play basketball. And I think the girls are going to have some nerves, but I think that's true of any team. So hopefully we can get into that and take care of business.
Well, and then again, of course, there's a lot of teams get to see maybe a team that they've seen or they're familiar with. You guys have 2 opponents who are completely new to you, and then, of course, the one that's pretty familiar. But how do you balance that of, okay, you've obviously done your Portsmouth stuff. Is a lot of your stuff just coming from, okay, we're going to watch the other 2 teams play and kind of see what we can do, or are you just, at that point, just, hey, this is what we do, we have to concentrate on that?
Well, being a defensive-first team, I think we always take a look at what the other team does. We want to put our team in the best light and present the defense or at least the matchups that make the most sense. So we do spend a significant or fair amount of time looking at other teams. I think that puts us at a slight disadvantage. We don't have a jump off the bus, 80 points a game team that's just going to go out there and you got 4 people who are going to average 15 or 20 points. We have the ability to make some shots. We have the ability to run, but our offense comes from our defense. So we need to focus really on those matchups, knowing what other personnel are going to do, and that does take time. And that puts us in a little bit of a hole with the 1-day turnaround. So we got some assistants and some other people helping us to pre-scout and at least have a guide of where we want to be so that we can get that turned around in a short period of time. And then we try and compare that team to teams we previously played, so that we kind of can shorthand some of the scouting report.
And that was going to be my question was, is there anybody that they sort of, you see a little bit of a model or maybe a little bit of this or a little bit of that that you've played so far?
Well, Portsmouth is very similar maybe to like a Toledo Central Catholic. Afrocentric would probably be in the same boat, except Afrocentric has more height. Keystone is more of like they're a little shorter. They're a little more disciplined. They play a lot more half court, so they're more of a Fort Loramie, Crestview type. So, you can kind of draw some of those comparisons. Obviously, there's different personnel, but you can see the sets. You can see how they like to run their offense. Are they right side dominant, or whatever. So those are the kind of things we're just kind of preparing so we can have the short turnaround and be ready if that happens, if we're fortunate enough. But we got to whale the team ahead of us. Even though they're a little bit younger at some spots, they're just phenomenal athletes.
not to go all the way down the line, but what does this run mean to you with this group?
Well, the last 2 years I felt really good with our team coming into this season. 2 years ago, now 3 years ago, I guess, when we had Chloe and we had Aaron, and I thought we had a really good team. I thought if everybody was healthy at the end of the year, we were a state caliber team. And, then the 3 knee injuries and, we're the last 5-6 games, we were patching things together and trying to prep kids who 2 weeks earlier were playing JV. And, those kids made a whale. And those guys are now playing it. They're juniors now. So I think it was a great experience for them. But we were, a coaching mistake away from going to state with that team. And then last year I felt like we got back to regional finals, put us in a position to get to state. We did not play a good game. Girls were tight. Shots didn't fall. I don't know, maybe some close calls didn't go our way that maybe could have gone our way and kind of got us out of those situations, but they didn't. And we just really tightened up and unfortunately did not play the game we're used to playing, which is we usually want to play and usually we have our best game at the end of the season. And I didn't think we did that last year. So coming back this year with a lot of the same kids, it was extremely important in making sure that they were focused to make sure that we don't leave any regret. No excuses, no regrets. Make sure that the last game, win or lose, is the best we can play. So it's been an extremely important road to get to this point.
Well, I can't say enough. Thank you so much for letting us be part of this, kind of being around the program, and I wish you guys the absolute best in the entire weekend.
Well, thanks much, and I appreciate everything you guys do for us. We got probably the best coverage of any of the teams in Ohio girls basketball, so we appreciate everything you do.
That's Troy Yant here at the Carrot. We're back with more of the pregame show in just a few. Are you in Spencerville and looking for a place to eat before the Bearcats play? Well then, head to my place, 128 North Broadway, for deep-fried mushrooms, chili cheese fries, the best pie around, and soup of the day. If you're in a hurry and just want to order some to go, you can give Doug and his staff a call at 419-647-4062, and they'll have it ready for you. My Place Restaurant at 128 North Broadway in Spencerville, a proud supporter of Bearcat Athletics. Looking down the state semifinals on Division 4's page, you'll find Crestview and Fort Loramie getting a chance to talk to both head coaches, and starting with Fort Loramie's head coach, Carla Siegel, 26-2 this year. What has it been about this winning streak you guys are on right now? 13 games, you're outscoring opponents by 34 points a game, that everything has just sort of clicked offensively since mid-January?
Well, I think, we had some really big games there in December and January, and I think we kind of found our identity. We found out what we were made of, what we needed to work on. These girls have aspirations to do great things this weekend. So I think, we just had to find ourselves. And I think we played Sheridan at the Classic in the Country, and we were in that game for a while, and then we just had a bad couple minutes there. And the next thing you know, we were down 8-10 and couldn't climb out of that. So I give my girls a lot of credit. I think they persevere. I think they are committed to one another. They're committed to the program. And when you have players that do that, fun things can happen.
I always say that your tournament run is set up kind of odd, because in a 7-day span, you play 3 times. You beat Perry in the district finals. You hold on in the regional semis against Russia, a team you had to see for the 3rd time, and you see Marion for the 2nd time in a month. What is that string kind of like? Because it's not easy to beat a team twice, let alone 3 times. And really, even worse, under that kind of microscope that you're under.
Yeah. Our earlier tournament games were a little bit more fun because we were playing opponents that we weren't familiar with. And I always liked that, like the Fayetteville Perrys, played Miami Valley and Twin Valley South. Those were all new programs for us to play this year. And then, like you said, you get to regional semifinals and you're playing Rishi, which is a league foe of ours. I think this is the 3rd time we've played them in the regionals in the last probably 5-6 years. The girls volleyball team plays them 3 times every year, in regionals as well. And you just know each other so well, and it kind of muddies up the water as far as like what you're trying to do, what they're trying to do. We didn't play overly well that night, but I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that the girls never gave up. When the ball wasn't bouncing our way, when the shots weren't falling, the girls hung in there and they got the win. And then, they turned around 2 nights later. We had to play Marion Local for the second time, like you said, that we played them the last game of the season. Started off a little slow and then just really took off there at about the 5-minute mark of the first quarter and just kind of ran the table there until the middle of the third quarter. So, tournament is tournament. The things I think, you preach to your teams is you can only take one opponent at a time, one day at a time. Can't look too far ahead, and you can't lose, your focus. You got to make sure that you stay attuned to what your team needs to do to win that next game.
When you kind of look at these tournament runs, you get into that mode of, if we start slow, are you of the thought of, I have girls who are old enough in terms they played a lot of games, of you feel like maybe you have to rush an early timeout, or do you just kind of let it play a little longer to that point where you go, all right, now I have to do something about this?
Yeah. Typically, I'm a coach that I love to save my timeouts for the second half, the third and fourth quarter. So, like the Marion Local game, we were stuck on, somebody made one free throw, and we were stuck on one for 3 minutes or whatever. And so that was hard because I was thinking, do I need to call this timeout to get my girls refocused because, our shots weren't falling. We weren't running our offense. And then, they just kind of, I think our girls, because, like you said, they're seniors and they're juniors, they've been around the block a few times. I think that they found the rhythm that they needed and they persevered through that. So I didn't have to call the timeout. We tend to like to keep a game up tempo. We like to wear out our opponents. So I really don't like to call the timeouts because I don't want the other team to get those little breaks unless, I need to talk to my team.
When you go down these tournament runs, you look at the girls you have that are seniors, lost in the regionals the last couple of years, but the last time that you got to state, when you got to the finals, when you beat up on McDonald in the finals, it was Crestview in the state semifinals. How much are those girls able to maybe kind of impart on the younger girls what the ending to this journey could be like and kind of everything along the way?
Well, none of my seniors were on that tournament team because they were just freshmen. We didn't have any freshmen dressing for the tournament. So honestly, this is a new experience for them, for everybody in the program right now. This, because we haven't been there in 3 years. So this is new. It's exciting. Jaden Rose had a sister that played on the 2013 state team. So, I'm sure Darian's given her some words of wisdom. Avery Brandewy's sister, Colleen, played on the 2021 state team. So I'm sure Colleen's given her some words of wisdom. We've got lots of sisters, cousins, neighbors that have played in the past, that have played it, in a state games. So I'm pretty sure that those girls are reaching out to my players and guiding them and helping them to understand the importance of every play, every game is important.
I think that you hit on something that people ask all the time about how is a program like Fort Loramie. It's not a big school. There's not the influx of Dayton talent or Columbus or Cleveland or whatever. How is a program consistently like this? And I think you just hit it on the head of, because you have girls who have sisters and cousins who are successful and they come back and are such a big part of your program going forward.
Yeah, it's I am very fortunate, and I forgot to mention, Arrow Highcamp plays this year. She had two sisters that were on that 2021 team, but Sharon and Riley. But it just, you have a small community, it's close knit. Everybody supports one another, and I'm fortunate enough that there's the sisterhood, is there. The cousins are there, and so many of the former players have been at the last few games. Cheering us on, and it's great to see them in the stands, and some of them have little girls on their laps, they're married and have children already. So, it's wonderful to see that, to be a part of it. and to know that these girls that are playing this week have girls that they can talk to and rely on for help and guidance.
Also, what's it like to have your student section be so full of the boys' teams? Because I know the boys' basketball team is there all the time, and they are rowdy. They've got pictures online that, it's a luxury because not a lot of schools have that. But how do you guys kind of look out and go, wow, I mean, this is a pretty neat thing?
Yes. I mean, these last few games, the boys have just been, I say boys, but I mean, it's the whole student section. I mean, it was Saturday I looked at, and it was overflowing into the general population, and I was just like, our student body is rocking it tonight. And I think the boys, the football team, the basketball team, cross-country team, they're successful in what they do. And so they understand what it means, how much work that our girls have put in, and for them to come out and to be energetic like that and to be the sixth man for us, if you want to call it that. I said it just means, it says a lot to them about the student body and the friendships that they have with the girls on the floor.
I'm just always impressed that when they paint their chest with letters, that they always stay in the correct order.
Yeah, I'm not sure who to credit that. I don't know if that's all the boys or if that's their moms or what, but that's pretty cool that they don't get out of order.
You stay right to the right of Tommy at all times. Because that the one time that one of those kids is out of order, that'll be the one on the front page of the newspaper.
I'm sure they have been warned about that, and that maybe that's why they are so diligent about staying in the correct order. I have yet to see that picture.
It's you got Bryant Billig, though, and he's a pro. He knows better.
Correct.
He does an amazing job covering your program and making life easier for guys like me.
Yes, Bryant does a good job. He's a joy to be around.
It also probably goes back to a kindergarten thing, when you get in line of, okay, you're number 2, you're number 3. What number are you? I'm 2, Mom. It's okay. We'll be fine.
Stay there.
When you get to Thursday, what's the routine like for Fort Loramie? Because you're not all that far from home in Dayton.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a little bit of a shoot around before we board the bus, and we'll go down there to watch the 11 o'clock game because, we like to scout that and see who we might possibly be playing on Saturday. But yeah, and then we will play our game, and afterwards, go out to eat on the way home, and we'll come back home. It's definitely different than when it was held in Columbus because, sometimes you would leave a day early, depending on what time you played, just to get settled in. It's, I miss that journey. I miss the 3 or 4 days just with your team bonding and being together. But what's nice about it being right here is we just drive down there, we play. It's like driving to OG. It's like driving there. You plan your trip. That way the girls can stretch their legs out and do what they need to do before the game so they're not, tired or whatever. And so maybe playing those teams up north, this year, Lima Bath, Liberty Benton, whatever, we get used to that long bus ride and we know how to react when we get on the floor.
When you get on the floor on Thursday, it's a terrific Crestview program led obviously by Mark Gregory. They've got a lot of different pieces in that they've got some height, they've got some youth. Her younger sister is a terrific shooter. When you look at the whole of this program, how many headaches did they immediately give you?
Well, I scouted them back in December when they were playing OG. I was actually scouting OG, but they were playing Crestview. And I just remember coming home and telling my assistant coaches, well, this is what we need to do to beat OG. But I said that Crestview team, they got some really nice pieces, that they can put together to be a really strong contender come tournament time. And so, like you said, yes, I mean, they got the height. They've got 2 tall, athletic girls that can handle the ball well and can shoot. They've got the little guards that are quick and fast. And he definitely has, all the pieces that he needs to make a strong tournament run himself this weekend. So I think it'll be a fun game. I think we're just as athletic as he is. I think, we've got the height. We've got some guard play too. As far as the chess match, I mean, this is probably the best game that we could have this year as far as seeing a team that is very similar to us.
Well, a team that kind of what we were talking about before, you guys aren't really all that familiar with. When you look at them on tape, I mean, their regional semifinal in Elida, they beat a Calvert team that's much different than the faster, wanted to get up down the floor Grove team that they saw in the regional finals and beat 53-29. Was there something about them that maybe kind of stuck out to you of, okay, I'm really going to have to make sure that the girls are honed in on this for us to be successful?
Yeah, I mean, I just think, when we played them 3 years ago, they were a very young team. This year, they're a very experienced team. I mean, I know that they're starting a freshman, but they've got juniors and seniors that are playing. The maturity level is completely different than it was 3 years ago. I think, Callie Gregory by far is probably one of the best Division IV players in the state from what I've seen. She can handle the ball, she can shoot the ball, she can post up, she can defend. Those kind of players are rare and few to find, and I think she just does a phenomenal job of getting her teammates involved in the different plays that they run. We will do, it's not like football where you have 5 days, you can change your offenses and what you're doing. We have 3 days to prepare for this game. So there's not a whole lot of things that we're changing. We're just asking our girls maybe to pay attention to a few different things that they do that we want to try to stop or clog up. But we're not making a ton of changes. I mean, we're concentrating this week on Fort Loramie basketball. What does Fort Loramie need to do offensively well, and what does Fort Loramie need to do defensively well? Those are the things that we'll be concentrating on this week.
And it's kind of nice for you guys in that you play in the 1 o'clock game. All right, you're done by 3. You're home by 7 or 8, whatever that night. When you go to your own practice on Friday, you don't have to borrow someone else's gym down around Dayton trying to kind of figure out, what to do here, what to do there. Oh, they gave us an hour. They were nice enough, whatever. You can go in and just kind of drill down your stuff for either Loudonville or Waterford in your own gym on your own time.
Correct. That's, that was one of the nice things about when they moved it to Dayton, because when you were in Columbus and you were trying to find practice floor or shoot around times before games, that was hard. The other thing is, finding the restaurants where you can bring a whole busload of, 25, 26 people. That was time consuming too. And really, if we choose to stop on the way home, we can, but it's not like it's necessary because it's an hour drive. So those are some headaches that are alleviated by it being played at UD. So,
is it a relief when you finally get to the floor kind of by that point where, all right, you're locked in, the clock finally gets down to 0, you go through all the starters and all the TV ads and all the rigmarole of by the time the ball goes in the air, it's, all right, finally this is the thing that I know how to do.
Yes, I would agree with that completely. I mean, there's a lot of outside noise and distractions going on, and it's nice when you're finally on the floor. As you said, the clock is winding down, and you're just like, let's get this game going because this is what you want to do. You want to play. You just want the game to start, and you want to do your things, and you want to look good doing them. And it's the fastest 32 minutes, I can tell you that, when you're playing down there on that floor. You can't slow that down.
That's always the thing I always hear from players or coaches when they kind of try to impart wisdom on younger kids of, when you go out there, yeah, you want to play hard, you want to win, you want to take the title home, but make sure you kind of look around and appreciate your community being there and sort of enjoy that moment for at least maybe 10 seconds during the timeout here or, 5 minutes warming up after halftime, because all of a sudden 2 hours of your life is gone. You either won or lost, but that experience is over.
Yeah, and, even though the game's videotaped and you can watch it, it doesn't did justice to being in that arena. That arena is just a wonderful place to play. The way it's set up, I enjoyed playing at the Shot the times that we were there, but the UD Arena is just so much more comfortable, close, just a better atmosphere, I think, for high school sports.
Well, I know that you have a lot going on, but I always appreciate when you take time to talk to me. I can't say enough good things about you and your program, and I'm stoked to call your game in a couple of days.
Well, Mike, I've enjoyed getting to know you over the past few years, and I appreciate everything that you do for girls basketball, and high school sports, I should say. So thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
I'm excited for it. That is the head coach of the Fort Loramie Redskins, and Carla Siegel. We've got more coming up here in just a couple of minutes. Ottawa's favorite place for award-winning ribs and wings, including their great drink specials, is the Red Pig Inn at 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa. Come in for their great daily lunch specials and their expanded new menu items. Stop in for Singo on Wednesdays and the WZOQ Zoo Crew Sports Talk Show. Be sure to check out their live entertainment on the weekends. Follow your favorite baseball teams and more on the big screen TVs. That's the Red Pig Inn, 1470 North Perry Street in Ottawa, 419-969-1002. Other half of the coin in the D4 semifinal, you just heard from Carla Siegel. Now with Crestview's head coach in Mark Gregory, who is like the Energizer Bunny, because no matter what time of day it is, he is always up and going. Do you just ever have 5 minutes to yourself where you just kind of sit and chill?
I was just thinking about that today. I've been on the road with work, and I got a little bit of time here, but not to be able to just sit back and relax. But I need to do that. I need to find time to do that. But with 4 girls and I just don't. With coaching, it just doesn't happen. So one of these days, I'll be able to do that.
4 girls and about 15 or 20 others, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, four ladies at home, and then the rest of them at Crestview.
Well, I have told people for years that you'll never get caught with the hair game not being 100. So I compliment you for having at least 5 minutes for yourself for that.
It doesn't take me that long. Some people might think, but it doesn't take that long.
Well, no, with 4 girls and your wife living in the house, I can't imagine there's much time for you to be in the bathroom.
I never get to the bathroom that long. No, actually, Adam Huber always gives me crap about that, because he always thinks I got the best hair game till Coach G comes to town.
I could see that. 1, I could see that happening, and 2, I could see him saying that and just kind of half grumpy because he doesn't have nearly as many young ladies in his house, so he's got time.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good. We got so many great coaches and so many great people in the media that share the great game of basketball in this area, and I'm just very blessed.
I got to see you when you kicked off the season at home against Audubon, and a couple of times since then. Your team, you sit at 25-2, you go 7-1, share the NWC title. What is it about this team that they hit that mark of they came out with a ground running? We talked earlier in the year. Nobody heard this, mind you, but we talked earlier in the year, as I've been reminded many times, of what this team could be, and you kind of alluded to that you felt like this could be a very special team. What was it, or what is it about this team that you just said, we're going to do some things?
Well, I just think it's a mixture of some experience, but getting Maya Effler back obviously was a big deal for us. But I just think we have a genuine care for each other, and it shows on and off the court. And it's been a lot of fun just to see these girls continue to grow in both areas. And they're great in the classroom, and so all that stuff ties together. But they have totally bought into trust the process that we've talked about from day one. And I can't tell you how proud I am of these girls.
I talked to Carla Siegel about her program and about your program, and kind of the same thing came up in terms of scheduling of it's the old we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime sort of thing. But what is it about building your schedule? I mean, you've had obviously tremendous non-league teams of, yes, we want to win. We want to be sitting at 27-0 right now or whatever. But if we lose, we're going to be able to take something out of that because we will quite literally play anybody to get better.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Our non-conference schedule, we've been aggressive going out and finding other teams that we want to play to help us get better. But I can't say enough about the Northwest Conference too, and about the players and the coaches that we have to go up against. And then PCL, and I mean, it's just, you could go on and on about the really good teams in this area. And as they say, our iron sharpens iron. And I feel like our schedule is a testament to that. So, like I said, but I can't say enough about, the players, the type of elite players that we've played against this year, whether it be from OG or whether it be from St. Henry or be from anybody you think of. And there's so many great players in our area, and we've had a chance to play a lot of against a lot of them. And that helps you to game plan and strategize and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I think that's what's so special, especially around tournament time.
You probably have had some headaches because you have Allen East Grove and Jefferson. You have Liv Lindemann, you have Lauren Achmuth, you have Ryland Jones and Savannah Brooks. And then you go to Lipsick and you have Ava Henry to try to figure out, oh, by the way, that's not even throwing in a player like Heidi Keller from Spencerville to figure out, how am I going to get these girls to slow down one of those girls? I mean, did you have a theory of, all right, maybe I let them get theirs and we shut everybody else down? Or kind of how do you approach that?
It depends on the game, depends on who's healthy, who's not healthy. But generally speaking, I'm not a fan of letting somebody get theirs. I like to see, okay, how can we slow them down? How can we stop them? How can we hold them, where, maybe we let some other players get more shots, and because that's not what they typically do. So that I'm more of a fan of that and trying to figure out, well, how can we do that? And I think we've done a pretty good job. And I think this last time we played with Grove, I just think that, what we were able to do with such a special player in Lauren Achmuth, to hold her to 12 points and 2 points the entire second half. And she just really didn't shoot a lot of threes that game, after she made her first couple. And again, that's a testament to our girls and how we played her. But that's the name of the game, is what can you do to take something away from the other team?
You had a big stretch early in the season that I thought was pretty big to your schedule. You had 4 straight away games in a term of about 10 days where you went to Spencerville, Fort Jennings, St. John's, and Lipsick. And while it's not a lot of travel, are those the kind of teams or the kind of games, St. Henry in there, that you kind of learn more about your team because you learn how they adapt away from home?
Well, there's no doubt about it. We grew up in that stretch. I look back at that St. Henry game, and I was really concerned because they have a high quality team. They're well coached, and it was on the road at St. Henry on a Saturday. Sometimes you don't know how your kids are going to play on Saturday anyways. And we came out and just played so well. And again, we haven't played St. Henry a lot, so we didn't know what to expect really, other than watching a film or two there. And I just thought our kids played so well, and we shared the basketball. They face guarded Callie, and so other girls had to step up. And like I said, it was fun to watch. And then when we get back home, then it's like you challenge your girls and be like, listen, we got to defend our home court. But yeah, definitely on the road, that's where you kind of find out what you're made of.
You go through your season, you have just the 2 losses. When you get to your tournament, you're in an unfamiliar position because you're kind of an outlier in terms of where you guys are at in your division and kind of in Northwest Ohio of you have to go north and play a lot of teams that you're not familiar with. Is that better because you see teams maybe not a second or third time, or it's just different?
It's just different. Like I said, I think, again, having such a tough schedule through the season, I think helps you with that. But I also think Northwest Ohio basketball is really, really good. And I think, when you play some of those teams that are farther up north, I think it's just a different brand of basketball. And that's, I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think those experiences really help you, especially in the tournament time. But, when you get into like with Ayersville and, like I said, we watched them play a couple times, but they were a really high quality team, and that game made me really nervous. And then, like I said, we came out there and just, played really good defense and shot the ball pretty well there at Defiance. And so I was very proud of our kids for that. And then we take on a Tiffin Calvert team that we really didn't know much about. And again, was I concerned about that? A little bit, just because, again, the unknown. But to go there and do what we did against Tiffin Calvert, and then, having to take on Columbus Grove for the second time of the season, I hate taking on a conference foe. And I know Brian Schrader's such a good coach, and Lauren Achmuth, and it just I'm just very relieved that we got through that because, again, that's tough to play a second team twice during the season.
Since that Jefferson game, you guys have only had 2 games where the differential has been less than 14. Was there a click at some point, or was it just you're able to, with the way your defense is and your pressure of you're able to get layups, you're able to get steals and scores, and kind of things are just working themselves out where you got around a corner of, okay, here we go?
I think the biggest difference in that Jefferson game really springboarded us, I think, because that was the night that we played inside out. And we got the ball to Maya down low. She was able to finish. We got the ball down low to Callie. If she wasn't able to get it down or finish it, we kicked it out and were able to make perimeter shots. But that is a great recipe for us and has been is working from the inside out. And I'm not a big fan of taking shots from the perimeter until it gets to, on the baseline or in the middle, because I think that just stresses the defense. And I think, since that Jefferson game, that's been the recipe for us.
Loramie is a lot like Crestview in they are able to turn your mistakes into points. What is it? And also because they come at you in so many different ways, and rightly so. Callie gets a lot of the press for what you guys do, but I mean, you have a handful of all NWC players and pretty much your entire starting five. Are you the same in a lot of ways as them? I mean, when you look at them, you go, okay, schematically they might do some different things, but they remind us a little bit of us.
Maybe a little bit, but I look at them and look at their stature and think, no, we aren't comparable because they're bigger than us in almost every position. But I think the type of players that they are, as far as they have no give up in them, they fight till the very end. They battle. They play for each other. They're very coachable. I think from those standpoints we are. But she's developed just such a good program of crashing the offensive glass, turning people over, live turnovers. She's done so well with that. And those are the things that we can't get wrapped up in. If we give up, you can't give up 2, 3, 4 of those live turnovers where they're getting a steal and going down the other way for a layup. So those are the things that we can't do. And then the other thing is that you can't give them second, third, fourth, fifth chance opportunities on offense. I've seen that multiple games this year, whether it's on film or whether it's live. They crash the board so hard, like nobody we've seen, I think. And so we have to do a really good job on the glass when we play them on Thursday.
You're at a crossroads in that you're at the beginning of this adventure with one daughter. You're coming to the end with the other. With Callie in this senior class, how is it going to be different for you, obviously other than being mushy, going into this battle with Fort Loramie than it was 3 years ago?
I'm not sure that I go into it any differently. Obviously after the game, win or lose, it'll be emotional no matter which way it is. But having a senior daughter and having a freshman daughter, it's been such a blessing seeing those two play together in volleyball and then come and see them play in basketball. I'm just so blessed to be able to do that with them and be their coach, be their dad. And it's going to be special no matter what. And I'm just so proud of them for the work that they've put in because when you watch them on the court, you can tell they put the time in, they put the work in. And so it's really fun to see them, reap the benefits of all the work they put in.
I know I and a lot of the other media will talk about your daughters, about Casey and Callie, because I love the dynamic of, me being mushy, having my own small human of that dad and that connection and all that. But I'm a big fan of Ellie Klein because every team I feel like has that one player that she gets second team honors. I feel like any other team in the conference, she would have been first team, but you go out and you can rely on her to make plays, and she doesn't make negative plays. It's always kind of a plus position. I mean, how great is that to be able to have a junior that can be a leader in addition to everything else you've got, because whatever happens, you can trust her.
Ellie Klein is a girl that does so much for this team and is a kind of a quiet leader. But she does so many things, not only just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end, making plays. I mean, I could tell you through certain games where she changed the game by her defensive intensity. But at the same time, when we need a big basket, there's nobody that I, other than, obviously Callie, but I have the utmost faith that she can step up and hit a shot. She hit one of the biggest shots, in my opinion, against Columbus Grove at the end of the half, where we were patient on offense, got the last shot, get the ball into Maya. Maya kicks out to Ellie. As soon as she caught it, I knew it was going in. I just knew it because that's Ellie Klein. Bob Horry from the Lakers, I would call Ellie big shot Ellie. I mean, that's how she's been. And like I said, she's a big part of this team. But I would be remiss if we didn't talk about Josie Kowicki and what she's done this year for this team. She got honorable mention in the conference, which I think was well-deserved. But she has played the best offensive player on every single team we played this year. And she does it. She'd tell you, she'd be the first one to tell you, she's not an offensive powerhouse. But she does everything that we ask her to do. She's so coachable, but she plays so hard and does all the little things, and I'm just so proud of her.
See, it's funny. You actually took the next point of what my rundown was going to be. But that goes to show how important every single girl is to this team. Basketball aside, what are you most looking forward to in the next 6 or 7 days?
Just continuing. I mean, I think I tweeted earlier, sunshine and practicing and playing in the last week of the year, it just didn't get any better. And my wife might disagree with me on that, but I mean, just to be able to share that with your family and your daughters and being able to be down at state together, again, that is so special. Now, obviously, we want to go down there and we want to win the whole thing. But I'm just looking forward to just trying to take a step back and breathe and just enjoy it, because again, we've been pretty blessed with volleyball, with boys basketball last year, with us this year. I mean, we've just had a lot of really good teams that were blessed to get down to state. And, I think I don't want to take it for granted. I don't want our girls taking it for granted, because it's special and it just, not everybody gets to do it. And so that's the thing that I want to really impress upon our girls.
You walk out on the floor at UD Arena before they do the lineups, right as your entire community and hopefully most of Van Wert County is on one side. You know that Shelby County is going to be on the other side. Do you take a second and just kind of try to soak it in anytime you get a chance?
Absolutely. I think I shared this in our welcome home, that I was just so thankful for our community and all the support that they give us, our administration. We are very lucky, and our girls are very lucky. And sometimes when you're younger, you don't quite understand that or don't understand the scope of that. But that's something that we talk about on a daily basis at practice. Just take it in, enjoy it, because these are moments that you guys will never forget. You might forget how many points you scored in a game, how many rebounds you got in a game, but you will not forget those times in the locker rooms, on the bus, out to eat, at team meals. I mean, it's just so special.
I am happy and sad. I'm happy that this is going to be one of the biggest showcases of two of the best programs, two of the best leaders, I think, in the entire state of Ohio, regardless of division or however you want to break it up. I'm sad that it has to come in a semifinal the way that it works, that somebody's got to lose, because I love both of your programs. But I think it's going to be an amazing showcase, and I wish you and the girls all the best.
I really appreciate it. And again, as I told you, I appreciate all the coverage that you give to our girls and our school and our teams. And again, we are very lucky from that standpoint too, of all the great people we have in our area. But really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, Coach Carla is so good, but I look forward to this matchup on Thursday.
That is the head coach of the Crestview girls, and Mark Gregory. More on the way. Hey, you! Are you struggling to stay awake in the morning? Do you just need a jump start to your day? Then you need to find some Revision Espresso coffee from the Rubato Coffee Lab in Columbus Grove. Launched in April of 2019, Rubato Coffee is fueled by a passion for outstanding coffee. held by the owner and head roaster in Aaron Bremer. No matter what type of coffee you're looking for, RobatoCoffeeLab.com has it. Can't make a choice? Check out their sample pack. Robato Coffee Lab in Columbus Grove. Made by locals who care about you and your coffee. Back here to finish up around the Hearn from a courtside here in Dayton at UD Arena. And I really hope that you enjoyed hearing what Troy Yant had to say about his OG Lady Titans. They are tipping off in about 2 hours from where we sit here. Another D3 semifinal going on in just moments. Check out the OG Lady Titans on WZOQ Radio at 8 o'clock. Actually, it's 7 o'clock with the pregame show. And then we've got more from the Division IV game. Finals will be on a Saturday. It'll be Waterford who will try to take down the Fort Loramie Redskins and prevent them from winning their fourth title. Big thank you to Mark Gregory. Had a nice conversation with him in the hallway after his team fell in the state semis. Said, you know what, Loramie's a pretty good team. And Carla Siegel said the same thing about Crestview and the battle. So proud of Northwest Ohio for bringing a handful of teams down. And a lot of games I'm looking forward to. Tomorrow night, I think an absolute banger, the best game in the state outside of OG and Margaretta that you can hear on WZOQ Radio from Bowling Green on Saturday. I think Friday night's matchup might be the best matchup on the boys' side in the entire state of Ohio because you've got a white-hot Russia team taking on a Troy Christian team that went to Ottawa and beat the Titans at the Winter Classic. So big games to look for. Check out all of the broadcasts going on this weekend and make sure that you support high school sports. We'll talk about baseball coming up in a couple of episodes because the next episode is likely to be the PCL Coaches Show. That is taking place on Sunday at the Red Pig Inn. They have got tremendous brunch specials as well. Come on out and hear from some coaches as we wrap up the winter and head toward the spring. It's nice outside. Go support high school sports. That's what this show's all about anyways. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great night and an even better tomorrow wherever you are and wherever you may be.
We hope you've enjoyed this edition of Around the Hearn. Come back next week for more local stories from the NWO. But until then, be sure to follow us on Twitter at Michael Hearn PBP for more great area content.